Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in tonight's late upload, we are going to be talking about the Thursday night football team the Thursday night football game between the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are going to go over all of the fantasy football importance from this game, what I took from the game, and how I feel like both these teams are going to look down the stretch past the first 3 games of their 2020 NFL season. So before we begin in this video, I'd like to ask if at any point you guys end up enjoying this video to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I post content every single day to help you guys win your 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The Miami Dolphins win 31 to Jacksonville 13. Now, at the beginning of this game, it was definitely close. It didn't feel like the Dolphins were overwhelmingly destroying them. Now, it was 14-0, obviously, at one point in the game, but it just seemed like, hey, Gardner Minshew is going to crawl back into this game. But at the end of the day, the Dolphins stepped on the fucking gas, and they destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Battle of Florida was won by my Miami Dolphins. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick looked amazing in this game. 18 of 20 for 160 yards and 2 tutties, 0 INTs on the ground, 7 for 38 and 1 touchdown. So 3 total tutties for Ryan Fitzmagic in this game. For Gardner Minshew was not as good. 30 of 42 for 275 and 1 INT, as well as 3 for 22 in the rushing game. So Gardner Minshew did not look very good at all in this game. But was it really his fault? Is this something we can see going forward out of Gardner Minshew? I'm not too sure. I think the problem here is that DJ Chark was not healthy. It seems like even though DJ Chark isn't necessarily lighting up the score sheet on a weekly basis, the fact that he's the number 1 guy, the number 1 corners on him, is opening the spot for these other players, and they just don't have enough guys that are skilled to kind of be missing out on DJ Chark. The running back, though, very skilled in this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. James Robinson eviscerates again, 11 for 46 and 2 touchdowns in the pass catching game, 6 for 83. This guy dropped a deuce straight on my Miami Dolphins chest. Obviously didn't end up mattering for real football game, but for fantasy football, it seems like James Robinson may fuck around and be a top 10 running back for fantasy football when the season comes to a close. If he can stay healthy, knock on wood, if he can continue to keep playing the way he does. Now, I don't expect him to score 30 points every single week, but I expect James Robinson to be one of those running backs that is putting up big points on a weekly basis, even up against a pretty decent Miami Dolphins defense. They just destroyed him. James Robinson is just the guy that the Jacksonville Jaguars need. When Gardner Minshew, his back is against the wall, he's looking down the field, and God knows who the fuck is open because it doesn't seem like anyone's open. He just dumps it to fucking James Robinson 7,000 goddamn times. Late in the game, he looks for Robinson. Early in the game, he looks for Robinson. In the middle of the game, he looks for Robinson. It does not matter. This guy is pretty much game-style proof, or game script proof is what you would call it. No matter what they're doing, he is going to be super involved in that offense. Chris Thompson does make a return in this game, 5 for 35 in the receiving game, so it doesn't look as bad as he has looked in the past. 2 carries for 3 yards as well in the rushing game. Notably, Keelan Cole Sr. was one of the hot pickups of the week after figuring out that Baby Chark was going to end up sitting in this game. 4 for 43 on 5 targets. Just did not look all that good on Thursday night. Chenault, 1 for 1 in the rushing game. In the pass catching game, 5 of 33, made one of the nicest moves in the game, caught the ball around like 3 defenders and fucking hit him with a Madden spin move straight in the middle and got away from like 3 defenders. A very impressive showing from him, but really none of these guys on the Jacksonville Jaguars were really worthy of starting except for James Robinson. Obviously, some people started Gardner Minshew, and he didn't play absolutely atrocious, but he wasn't good enough to where you would have been happy starting him on the week. I expect Gardner Minshew to be much better in garbage time in the future, and I don't expect him to look this bad, really. Again, the Dolphins running back, it's Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin is the guy to start in the Miami Dolphins backfield. 5 of 29 in the receiving game on 5 targets, and as well as 22 carries for 66 yards, 0 touchdowns, though, in the rushing game. The biggest problem with Myles Gaskin, though, is that he's never going to end up finding the end zone. Because, not that he couldn't get into the end zone, it's because once they get close to the goal line, they just hand it to Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard has 3 carries, 1 yard, and 1 fucking touchdown. That's all he has in the game. But it seems like every single week, this guy is just going to vulture a touchdown from Myles Gaskin, which is going to make it very frustrating to start him. So understand, if you are going to be starting Myles Gaskin, that he is just not going to end up scoring a touchdown unless it is in the receiving game. Devontae Parker, 5 for 5 for 69 yards. Very nice for Devontae Parker. Pretty solid game out of him. Mike Gesicki, 1 for 15 and 1 touchdown. Obviously not the game you looked for out of Mike Gesicki, but hey, the 1 touchdown was definitely able to salvage it. This game was just a case of the Dolphins not having to throw the ball at all. Just was. Gaskin, Parker, all those guys probably would have lit it up had the game had been closer the whole entire game. After half, the Dolphins just kept stepping on the fucking gas, and it just seemed like the Jacksonville Jaguars stood no chance up against the Miami Dolphins. Preston Williams, 2 for 7 and 1 touchdown. Nice to see Preston Williams bounce back, score a touchdown. Obviously, still not a guy that I'm really looking to start in fantasy football, though, until he proves to me on a weekly basis how involved he's going to be and kind of how good he is going to be when catching the ball, because he made some very vital mistakes early on in the first 2 games of the season. Overall, from this game, I got that the Dolphins are pretty good. Like, not that they're fucking amazing because they beat the Jaguars, but the Dolphins just aren't as bad as the team that they kind of were week 1 up against the New England Patriots. Week 2, they looked very good against the Bills, and here we saw them actually get the win. I was kind of surprised when the Jaguars were the favorite to win this game, because it just seemed like the Dolphins could easily win, especially cover +3. They end up winning outright, obviously, in this game. Now, what I really took away from this for fantasy-wise is that Fitzmagic is not really a good starter for fantasy football, but if you are in quite the pickle, you can just fire him up and hope for the best, and this is probably the best that you're going to get out of him. The guy was electric. When he's running the fucking ball, he just looks like a dead fish. Every time you see some Jacksonville defender come for him, he just flops on the ground like a goddamn fish, and it's awesome because that's what you like to see out of Mr. Ryan Fitzmagic. James Robinson's the real fucking deal. Meet the Robinsons type deal. This guy is fucking amazing. All right, that's what I took away from this game. Even against the Dolphins defense, that's not one of the best run defenses or pass defenses in the fucking NFL. I understand. He just looks great in all these matchups, and the more and more use they give him, the better he is going to be. And I just can't believe that the Jaguars just cut Leonard Fournette, and randomly this motherfucker is just that good, who I've never even heard of before he was in the NFL. So congratulations to James Robinson. Looking amazing. Will Gardner Minshew lose his job next year is the question. He's going to have to put the team on his back in order to kind of take them out of this funk that they're in right now, but I think he may be able to do that and may be able to secure his job. Overall, I mean, the Jacksonville wide receivers are just iffy. Unless DJ Chark is there, I'm not really trying to start any of them. James Robinson is the clear, real deal. Gardner Minshew is still an okay start. Fitzmagic still a very risky start. Gaskin's going to be the running back to start there. Parker and Gaskin are going to be like the really only starts for the Dolphins, wide receiver and tight end core. I expect Gaskin to have another big game next week up against the Seattle Seahawks. So thank you guys all for watching this video. Let me know what you guys took away from this Thursday night football game. Unless you were a Jags fan, I bet you this game was actually pretty enjoyable to watch. Now, I also question the decision-making by the NFL. How the fuck do you go from 3 pretty solid Thursday night football games, right? Week 1, we have the Chiefs play up against the Bengals. Last week was, or not the Chiefs play against the Bengals, the Chiefs play up against the Ravens. Last week, we see the Bengals play the Browns. This week, the Dolphins, Jags. Sure, those aren't the 2 best matchups back-to-back, but they were still fun. And then next week, we get the Broncos versus the Jets. Please inform me who the fuck thought that was a good decision. That might be the most boring game you can ever watch, but with that said, I hope you guys did end up enjoying this video, and if you did, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. If you want more fun content by me, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm here every single day dropping bangers for you guys to watch. So have a great rest of your guys' day. I love you all, and I'll see you motherfuckers in the morning with another banger of a video. I love you all. Good boy.